So far, Bitcoin's dropped 36%. We got these sell signals back at the top here with this signal here and a lot of other ones. I've talked about those signals back at the top. Getting another one here right now. Now, the final print will not be until the close. So we still have several hours before that's finalized. I told you we had a signal here, but I told you I thought it was just going to be a counter trend, much like this counter trend. Told you I thought it'd be bigger than the smaller counter trends that we've had over here. I thought it'd be something like this, which it was. Which is why I was predicting we go back up into the low to mid 90,000 range, which is exactly what we did. We can get as high as the high 90,000 area, but not above 98,000, these lows over here. And that's exactly what happened. So again, we're probably going to get the next leg down. We'll see if the signal prints. Likely do a video on Saturday, Sunday by the latest, but probably Saturday over the weekend is tomorrow. And so again, but wanted to make you aware of that. But the counter trend probably done. Bars trying to turn back to bearish, trying to set up a sell signal there. These other ones played out very nicely, which I've talked about with these counter trends. We got these signals here, but you got a major signal here suggesting a larger counter trend. Now we're trying to get this major signal saying we're about to resume the sell off and go down and take out 80,000. And when that happens, the experts and the moon boys, their heads are going to explode because they're absolutely convinced we have a bottom now. And I'm telling you, it is not the bottom at 80,000. The Bitcoin daily chart. We got the bearish signal a few days ago and still went a little bit higher. And now signals are trying to turn back to bearish here. So again, we'll see what happens. Beautiful signal at the top. Beautiful signal at the final exit point. Didn't get a bottoming signal here, but we've got this here again suggesting that our bear flag is likely now done. We'd likely go up to the orange line, maybe as high as a purple line if we try to move closer to 98,000. Again, told you this before the rally ever started. We've gotten above the orange line. I told you if we get above it, you might overthrow it like we did back over here and then drop right back below it. That seems to be what we're seeing right now. No bearish signal here yet. We'll see if one shows up. Sometimes they don't. We didn't get one at the final exit point. We had some signals turn back to bullish. Others did not. And they'll probably revert right back to bearish as we go down at just 74,000. Very similar to what we had back over here. I've talked about this. And again, saying you might see a bottom at the 74,000 or just under the 74,000 area. I think it's more likely, though, we get a bounce and then go down and get one more drop. But I'm open-minded to a bottom around 74,000, but I'll need to see evidence of that. I think this likely drags out into January because I think the stock market has to play catch-up. Bar still red here. Had a short-term bottoming signal after the bottoming tail. Nothing here yet so far. Have to get it. We didn't get it at the final exit point. Again, the thing I have is suggesting we are going lower in December and maybe on into January, which I think is very likely. But I told you with this rally, some of my swing trend signals would likely turn bullish. Some of them have, others have not. They're likely going to revert back to bearish, very similar to what we had back over here. This is nothing more than a counter trend. I have no interest in this, as I've said. Catching a falling knife. We're not done with the sell-off yet. I remain short. I remain bearish. Where I'm considering taking profits on my swing trade positions, holding a longer-term short that I'm going to do absolutely nothing with, but my swing trade positions at the targets I've given you, the 74,000 area, or below that at a 50% haircut around 63,000 or more. If we drop more than 50%, that's where I'd be looking to lock in my gains on short positions and flip the trade and go long and try to play the counter-trend rally, because a counter-trend rally is going to happen. I really don't care which way Bitcoin goes, up or down. I'm a trader. I trade it back and forth. Whereas the moon boys, the experts, they care. They only think Bitcoin goes up. That's why they never see tops. That's why they never see corrections. That's why they never see confirmation of bear markets. I'll be looking to close my shorts and take profits, capturing a 40 to 50% decline, looking to write it back up, probably getting a 45 to 60% gain on the bullish position and then go short back all over again. Bitcoin's not hard to understand. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. I don't have sponsors. I just have a direct relationship with you. I turn the sponsors down. They contact me all the time. I have a YouTube channel. They contact you all the time. I don't even respond anymore. I'm not here to sell you stuff. I'm here to talk to you about Bitcoin. So if you like my chart, you like my indicators, support the channel with the link directly below. Do whatever you can to help out. You can take a moment to do that. I would really appreciate it. Let me know you want this information, you like this information, it's been spot on, it's nailed it. Please consider supporting the channel today. Got the bottoming signal here, nothing here. Don't have to get it. Didn't have it at these other counter trends, but just watch for other confirming signals. But I do believe that the counter trend rally is likely done and you have another bear flag. Still a small chance we go up to that 200 period in the 4-hour time frame, but I think it's more likely you're completing the bear flag, and we're going to see a bigger sell-off with the Fed. We saw back over here with the first rate cut and over here with the second rate cut, and you're likely going to get another sell-off with the Fed until we get the jumbo cuts in January. Okay, just a quick update today. Bitcoin appears to be done with the counter trend. Again, we moved slightly higher than the previous peak there and popped above our 20-period moving average. That's a blue line you see right there. Now we're dropping back below it. We'll be watching to see, is this move now done? Are we now resuming the advance? You got people telling us that the bottom's in. Again, these are the same people that told us that sell-off was never going to happen. The same people that told us we had a fake out at the breakout, or telling us we had a breakout when it was a fake out, I should say. So everything's a bottom, the liquidation move, the largest liquidation in history. And again, I got people that I see saying and commenting to me and saying, "Oh, everybody's so bearish." Are you kidding me? I'm being totally attacked. Worse, right now, I'm being more attacked than I was at the top when I predicted all of this and called the top the day of the top, because people are angry. They're so determined to, and they're so determined to say, we've got the bottom in. See. This is not the bottom. I keep telling you. Again, this 80,000 is not the bottom. We're going lower to at least 60, 63,000, a 50% haircut, to 74,000, a 40% haircut, which is this dotted blue line right here. That's the 74,000 area. That's our previous April low. When I called the day of the bottom on the Bitcoin bottom on April 7th, extremely bullish when everybody was just throwing in the towel and saying, forget it. I'm going to go lower, and eventually when we get down into January over here, and all the people that never saw the sell-off and that keep calling a bottom all the way down, how's that buy the dip working out so far? Not very good, is it? The Moon Boys keep telling us, buy the dip, buy the dip. They keep buying the dip that keeps on dipping. You want to buy the dip that creates the bottom, which will likely be at one of these lows at 74,000 or a 50% drop near 63,000. Or maybe we do what we did the last time around when we kicked off the bear market and dropped more than 50%, 52%. That would take us down to about 60,000. I think, again, going down to that 63,000 to 74,000 area, and you'll create a bottom. Maybe we get it right here, but I think you'll end up getting a bottom off of 74,000 or so, just under it, a rally back up, and then I think you're going to see a sell-off into January, where I think the Fed will panic, and that's when I think you get the emergency rate cuts. Now, I have the guts to tell you what I think. If it takes longer for the stock market to play catch-up, then maybe it goes deeper into the first quarter, but it is going to happen. Right now, Bitcoin's down almost 3.5% right now. You've got yesterday talked about Microstrategy. And Microstrategy is at risk of being removed, delisted, if you will, but removed from the MSCI index and from the NASDAQ 100 because they have such huge Bitcoin exposure. Microstrategy is at risk of being reclassified, which would end up causing it to be removed, which would end up causing forced selling. That could create problems for Bitcoin. And again, eventually, the MicroStrategy is going to have some real problems with this dollar cost averaging that they continue to do. Bitcoin does what I think it's going to do. They're going to be in some serious trouble once it starts losing their average price. Eventually, I think you're going to end up seeing MicroStrategy end up having forced selling of Bitcoin. And again, I think it will eventually put pressure on Bitcoin. And people out there like Peter Schiff that is saying that he believes that they're at risk of bankruptcy. And I know a lot of people in crypto can't stand Peter Schiff because he can't stand Bitcoin. But he might be right about that. I'm not saying that will happen, but I'm saying you got people like him that are saying that could happen. And if we begin to see the Bitcoin collapse, MicroStrategy could be in some real trouble. And also, if they have this removal from the MSCI index and or the NASDAQ 100, there can be some real selling pressure, and this is all going to be by January 15th. So maybe this gives us more selling going into January or late December. Pay attention to this issue. MicroStrategy has already topped a year ago. It formed a double top in the form of an Adam and Eve double top. I talked about this. This is the same thing we had back when Bitcoin topped in 2021. Here's where Bitcoin topped. MicroStrategy made a lower high. That's what we just had happen. Bitcoin topped on October 6th. MicroStrategy made a lower high. MicroStrategy, when it confirmed the bear market, it eventually got a bounce. We'll likely see something like that eventually happen when Bitcoin bottoms. But you have confirmation of the double top. That confirms a top. This is one of my signals that confirms a top for Bitcoin, just like it confirmed the top back in 2021 for Bitcoin. And eventually, Bitcoin plays catch up. Right now, we're down 71, nearly 71. Let me just adjust it because we did go a little bit lower. 71.5% lower since the top over a year ago. And people are still in denial that we're not in a bear market. It's absolutely incredible. But we have the Adam and Eve double top here. We had it over here. And again, that led to the bear market with Bitcoin. This is further confirmation. Talking about all the confirmation signals. We now have confirmation of a bear market in the daily, the weekly, and the monthly time frame for Bitcoin. I've talked about it in my last 5 videos, 6 videos or so. Everything I've said that was going to happen has happened, and we're still going lower. We're going to take out 80,000 on Bitcoin. But again, if MicroStrategy, and we don't know for certain, but if they are removed from some indexes, then that could be problematic for Bitcoin. If it is prevented and MicroStrategy is in talks with trying to get this issue resolved, if they can avoid it, then the other catalyst. Actually, though, you're going to see some kind of relief rally when Bitcoin bottoms. You'll see a relief rally with MicroStrategy, and again, that's probably coming by January. Now, it does look like NASDAQ is finishing up its head and shoulders pattern, and that could be as soon as today, doing exactly what Bitcoin did back up at the top. And remember, Bitcoin topped, formed the head and shoulders pattern, got the right shoulder. Now we're seeing that with NASDAQ, S&P as well, lopsided patterns. But this is what happened for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin in 2021, it peaked. 2 weeks later, NASDAQ and S&P peaked. They sold off. Eventually, they diverged. S&P actually went higher. I don't think that's going to happen this time. It could. I'm talking about that in my stock videos, but I think it's more likely you're going to get these head and shoulder patterns on S&P and NASDAQ, which could be wrapping up right now. Eventually, in 2021, NASDAQ peaked as well, sold off, S&P peaked, and then we had the 2022 sell-off. They all played catch-up to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is already confirmed to bear market, so the stock market's going to fall. We got those hanging man candlesticks in the monthly time frame on the NASDAQ and S&P, so there's a very good chance they have topped. They're now setting up lower highs. Now Bitcoin down 3.13%, trying to bounce off the lows. We'll see if we close below our 20-period moving average, but I think you're going to get this next leg down, get a bounce around this support area, and then get another push down into lows. And again, I think you're going to get these next legs down, the next 2 legs down on Bitcoin, because I think the stock market will need to play catch up. I think that the Fed will panic by January. You'll get the emergency cuts. The herd believes that's bullish, and we should see a rally going into March or April or so. I just changed the angle of ascent. It might look something like that, where you go up, you pull back, and then you go up, and you go into maybe March or April here, going towards the 90,000 range or maybe above 100,000, but you're going to go back to that 200 period moving average eventually, which has flattened out. It is slightly tilting lower. People saying that we bottomed and here we go. And again, this is not the bottom. Can't stress that enough. People telling us we're going to go make new highs. We're not going to go make new highs. And again, people telling us, oh, we've got the bottom. They're saying, oh, everybody's so bearish. So this can't be the top over here. And again, everybody was so bullish. That's why we had the largest liquidation in history, is because everybody was so bullish. Even people right now are doubling down on their predictions. They're doing what I predicted they'd do. They're moving them forward. Like Tom Lee's prediction, he's moved it forward into the future. Other so-called experts doing the same thing. If you didn't watch my last video, I talked about the 4-year cycle versus the super cycle. I showed the chart of the 4-year cycle. And again, the 4-year cycle is playing out like clockwork here. People believing in the super cycle, which has never happened. 4-year cycle where we have the boom and the bust, that has played out and it's playing out right now. And yet people doesn't fit with their narrative, so they dismiss it, discredit it, tell us why this time it's different. Absolutely incredible. Here's our 4-hour chart, and I told you to be watching. Do we stall under the 200 period? This is what we did back over here, just under it. Or do we reach it over here? We reached it over here. We just overthrew it. Again, I told you if we get one more push higher, you can go into that 200 and turn. We couldn't even do that. It was so feeble. You've got another bear flag now. You had this bear flag break down. You've likely completed now a larger ABC move, and you now have this bear flag excluding the shadow here, very similar to what we had back over here with this bear flag. That was the final exit point at 116,000 that gave us this big drop of 36% after that final exit point. Talked about that at great length and detail. So again, MACD rolling over. We've got a pretty big sell-off here. So again, pretty good chance that peak is going to hold. But I told you down before the rally ever started, the week ahead of Thanksgiving, we're going to get a bottom. We're going to get a rally up into the 90,000 range somewhere. And I told you it was likely going to go to the low to mid 90,000 level. That's what's happened. Though we could go as high as the towards 98, the high 90,000 level, towards this 98,000 area low right here, but there could be no overlap. And I told you I believe that we are in intermediate wave 4 of primary wave 3, marked here in blue. And I told you I thought wave 3 was finishing, and I told you that's why I was predicting we were going to get some kind of rally. So again, you've got another bear flag that's likely going to take us down to the 74,000 area now, which again, we're being told there's no possible way this is going to happen. But again, I've marked the waves here. This is my 4-hour chart of Bitcoin as primary wave 1, primary wave 2, and we have a 1 for intermediate wave 1, intermediate wave 2, intermediate wave 3, intermediate wave 4, likely now done. And now we're getting intermediate wave 5. And I think that will complete primary wave 3 at 74,000 or just under 74,000 somewhere. And then I think you get the rally back up for primary wave 4, and then you get the primary wave 5 into the January low, and that's when you get people just throwing in the towel. You get a bottom there. That's where I'm going to get really, really bullish like I did back in April. We're going to just have capitulation. But when the Fed comes in and does an emergency cut with a jumbo cut, going to be revived, and they're going to believe, they're going to say, you stupid bears. We told you this was coming, and we're going to get this massive counter trend rally. But this is what I think is going on. You've got the diversions here completing here. Had a little divergence with this peak over here, and I told you that might be the peak. Told you I thought it was likely the peak, but we couldn't go above that level, and if not, you had a larger ABC correction. In my opinion, we are in intermediate wave 4. I don't think the primary wave 3 is done yet. Everything I've told you is happening. Well, I told you we were going to get a bottom ahead of this rally. I told you we were going to get a rally into the 90,000 range. That's happened. And I told you we're going to go back down once it's done. Take out 80,000. And all the people that are telling us we have another bottom here, and I've called the bottom here. I saw a couple of so-called experts now saying that, and the world's highest IQ holder telling us the bull market has begun. The bull market began in 2022. We just ended the bull market. Absolutely incredible, these so-called experts. Tom Lee telling us we're going to go higher, and you've got crypto's third favorite billionaire telling us that. Eric Trump is bullish as can be, and all the the talking heads, so-called experts, the so-called move boys that never saw the top, that never saw the sell-off coming, telling us this is absolutely the bottom. Don't be panicking. We've dropped 36% and confirmed a bear market, confirmed a top, and completed the 4-year cycle. Absolutely incredible. What's even more incredible is that people keep believing these people that continue to call bottoms over and over at every dip and continue to be wrong. So again, it looks like we're completed here. I told you we might get one more pop into the 200 period. That's probably less likely now with this, and you've likely completed a bear flag excluding the shadow there. Now, we've been at crash wave 3, and I pointed out near the top that we had this false breakout, and we're starting to follow this Wyckoff model, this schematic pattern number 1, and this is one of the reasons why I was predicting we would get a rally surrounding the Thanksgiving holiday. I told you it might go the week past Thanksgiving, but you're going to likely sell off once the counter trend is done. Likely going to sell off with the Fed meeting next week. Again, we continue to sell off with the Fed. Over here, they started cutting. We sold off. Formed the left shoulder. Over here, they started. They cut for the second time in October with our more recent cutting cycle there, and we sold off. We were told the complete opposite was going to happen. And again, I told you, rate cuts are bearish. We're not going to see a big rally with the rate cuts until we get the Fed panicking and starting jumbo cuts. The herd is going to become convinced, oh, here it all comes. The Fed is going to slash rates and start printing. Here we go. And again, this is all because recession is coming. Rate cuts are bearish. They're not bullish. The herd believes the opposite. Again, this is what we're following. And this has been following crash wave 3 pretty spot on. Again, we're likely going down to the 74,000 area, and you'll probably get another bounce, and that will likely give us primary wave 4. Following this thing, it's pretty spot on, and it's suggesting we are going to go down to that April low. That's what we did over here. You came up here, you formed this pattern just like we did right here, this false breakout into major resistance, and you went down and gave back the entire rally, which was, I believe, around 69% from the low to the high from our April low. Just quickly, look at this. This is, again, the larger pattern, the larger head and shoulders pattern. At the left shoulder here at the January 2025 peak. And by the way, Bitcoin is now negative for the year. Again, it's below that January high. Massive warning sign, a massive red flag for the stock market. You have that left shoulder, you've got the head, and maybe we come down here and you try to bottom around 74,000. I'm open-minded that we might have my alternative count, and that would mean that we finish primary wave 3 here. This is primary wave 4, and we get the bottom here. My guess, though, is the stock market has to play catch-up, which is barely, working on the right shoulder right now. So I think you're going to get a bigger sell-off. I think this is more likely to play out. If I just bring it up close, you can see, again, I've marked it as primary wave 1 in the daily, primary wave 2. I think you have intermediate wave 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you get 5 down here at 74,000. Then I think you get this primary wave 4, and then I think you get one final dump into January. This is where I think the Fed will panic and cut rates, and then I think you get a massive A, B, C up to either the 50% retracement. This assumes we go down 50% to 63,000. It may be less than that, it may be more, but I'm predicting a 40 to 50% drop. Could be more than 50% as we've done in the past to kick off other bear markets. So again, I've marked this as A, B, C, and maybe we stall at the 50% retracement here, but maybe we go on up to the 61.8 fib, and this is likely going to take us into March or April. Here I've got it going into towards April. Could be shorter, but looking at past counter trend rallies and the bear market, the big first counter trend rally, again, you get a big move up, you get a big move down, you get a lot of chop, and then eventually go higher. This is going to fake out a lot of people. And again, I've said, you're going to have people that are going to get scared when we get down here to 63 to 74,000, when we get this next drop that's now starting in all likelihood with our intermediate wave 4 completing. You're going to have people that are scared. And when we get the relief rally, some of them will sell. The institutions are going to sell into the rally. They've been selling. Some of these people that are big names, ahead of institutions, saying, oh, we're going to 700,000 and all this. They're saying this stuff because eventually they're going to want it to go back up because they want to sell more into the rally. But after you get this massive rally, you're going to have the bottom fall out of Bitcoin. You're going to get an 80 to 90% drop. That's what the bear markets are for Bitcoin. This is what I think is happening so far. It's been playing out very, very nicely. I think we're still in this crash wave 3, primary wave 3 marked here in blue, primary wave 4, that may be bigger than what I've marked here. We'll see, but I think you're going to get a rally, and then I think you're going to get a dump, and maybe you set up like an inverse head and shoulders or something like that. A double bottom looking pattern like we did back at the April low. Gets the moon boys all bullish and leaving, oh, the bear market's over now. They're not going to change. They're going to keep saying the same things. But a few people in the herd will sell into the rally. There's going to be a lot of motivated sellers here. Institutions and the professional money is going to sell into the rally again. They sold into the last rally. They've been selling into the counter trends. They're going to keep selling. The market is confirmed. It has already started. People are just in denial. These people say, oh, everybody's so bearish. But what? I mean, you have moon boy after moon boy on social media continuing to tell us this is not the top, and this is a bear trap. Bears are going to be in so much pain because we bottomed and we're going higher now, which again, we're going lower. As I've said, I'm considering closing my short positions down here, just to let you know, down in this range here somewhere. I think I see a bottom. I'm going to be closing my short positions on my swing trade. I've been riding here all the way down. Again, I told you, I thought we topped the day of the top at major resistance. Boatload of opportunities back up at the top and with the final exit point. We talked about all this stuff in the right shoulder developing and everything we've talked about. Here, I would be considering shorting or closing my short positions and going long, riding this thing back, because I think you're going to get a 45 to 60% rally back up to these Fibonacci somewhere. Last time when we had the bear market kick off, we rallied up about 46%. I think that you'll see something similar to that. And then I think you'll hit that 200 period wherever it may come in. And I've marked some examples here. If we hit the 50% or 61.8 Fibonacci, it would take us back above 100,000. That's possible. Wherever the 200 period is, come the first quarter or early on into the second quarter of 2026, that's where I think we're going to terminate the counter trend rally, which will be powerful and convince people that the bottom is in and here we go. And it's going to be nothing more than a counter trend followed by more selling. This massive head and shoulders that I've talked about, not the smaller one up here, but the massive one, it measures down to about the 22,000 area. If we bounce at 74,000, it would measure even lower than that if we go down to 63,000. It would measure even lower than that. The bear markets for Bitcoin are 80 to 90%. People are still in denial. I can't believe how people just continue to dismiss what is clearly right in front of them. They base things on their hype, their hopium, because of their dreams and all the things that they're going to buy, and thinking about their mansion that they're going to buy and their sports cars, or they're thinking about their dreams and not looking at what is really happening with the charts. And the charts don't lie.